ghostly figures, guiding light, readers and seekers in the night. Hopes and fears written in gold. Truth appears as stories unfold. Flip the cards, turn around. Mysteries we have found. In the shadows we dance. Take a chance, take a chance.
Good morning and welcome to the MyTarot.org morning reflection, and most importantly, your reminder to breathe. Which is definitely what I need. Have you ever noticed that when your partner changes their schedule up, your schedule changes also? So that's why I feel like I'm running a little ragged in the mornings, because Mina's schedule's changed up a little bit. But at least this one period is like that one stable moment. So do I have any recommendations for the history of tarot? I do. If you hang around after this, I will show you some books that I would recommend. So, let's take that breath again. So, what are we doing here today? We are checking in with the universe, or as I like to say, the universe holds up a mirror, asks us, what do we see? And we use meditation as our reflection. So, feet comfortable, butt comfortable, shoulders relaxed, neck relaxed, shoulders down, and that breath. So what does the universe have for us today? What is your light switch? My light switch is when I hear the cards, I breathe. What reminds you to take a breath? Good morning also, Maureen. So, here we are, checking in with the universe. And I'm going to make our 3 stacks. Each one a different thread going out to the universe. It's like each one is a different thought or idea. Or if we believe in the multiverse, it's like each one of these is a different path. Because this stack will lead down one conversation, this stack a different conversation, and this one's going to take us in a totally different direction. And today, let's pull this string. Let's take a look at the bottom one, or things that might be influencing us and we don't even see it. And I am going to do our 3-in-1. So, turning each card over one at a time like they're the pages of a book. We start off with the World. This is the last of the majors in the deck. This is when it's time to almost think about, well, looking at a new chapter. We're about ready to turn the next page. This is areas in our lives where we've completed something. It's time to move forward. Something needs to come to an end. So it's time to think about what we might want to do tomorrow. And the 6 of Wands is about victory. So with Wands, which are fire and energy and creativity, and 6s are when things improve and get better. And we look at this, it's about looking at our victories, our small victories. What have we accomplished? Sometimes we even like to sit on our laurels for a while. And then, look at this. So we know with the Marseille, I don't read reversals as a general rule. But we're coming up with the King of Wands. So, the kings are about taking charge, making sure things happen, all those things like that. And wands are supposed to be that fire and energy. But sometimes when we get to a certain point, sometimes with all that fire and energy, we get tired. We don't want to move on. We kind of rest on our laurels. And so with the King of Wands is supposed to be about taking on something, finding those goals, applying, what efforts we have to something new. And sometimes that's a struggle. But the advice card is the Five of Coins, which coins are home, health, finances, and all those things that keep us grounded. And fives are challenges. So sometimes we come to the end of a chapter. And have you ever seen a mini-series, a TV show, like British TV shows? They will be 12 episodes and end. And you're like, I want more, it's like, but they tell a story and they conclude. A lot of European TV shows are like that. They tell their story. They don't need seasons 15 and 16. They just do it in 1 or 2 seasons. But sometimes we don't want that to end. And so there'll be TV shows here in the United States where they will drag them on for 15 years. And I mean, they'll retell the same stories, things like that. But the thing is that at some point, we do need the change. Because with the Five of Coins, generally this is considered a health card, but this is also anything that might have issues in our lives, whether it's finances, homes, and all those things. And sometimes it's because we achieve something and then we stop. Or we're tired, or we don't have the energy, because this is a card of energy. This is a card of moving forward. This is a card of creativity, fire, and action. And let's face it, sometimes in the winter, that's hard to do. But do we want to stay where we are and have our own little mini-series that lasts for 15 seasons? Or did we finish telling the story of what we were trying to accomplish? And is it time to find the new story to move forward? Because again, if this is the advice card, this is letting us know that we need to move forward to stay healthy. We need to move forward and not stagnate, which can cause issues in our lives, in our homes, in our jobs. And it's what also keeps us young. So today, let's think about areas where it's time to start a new chapter. Let the mini-series end so you can start a whole new project. What can we do to add a little bit of fire and energy? And I'm sitting here thinking myself, what can I do? Because I've come into this routine. Remember how I talk about a routine? Well, I am in that slump. And when I'm sitting here meditating on this, I'm thinking, how does this apply either to my job, to my home, or to my spiritual self? Job, work life, home life, spiritual self. And I can see that in a home life and a spiritual life, there's places where I can say I'm stuck. So this is about unsticking so that we don't become unhealthy. So with that, I hope you have an amazing day. And that is that. But I also now said that I would also talk a little bit about some books on the history of tarot. So, this book, notice I actually, how I do this. This book is called A Wicked Pack of Cards, and it's the origin of the occult tarot. So this talks about the history of the tarot, but when you look at the history of tarot, this gives you a broad view going from, the 1500s all the way up to, modern times. And in the 1800s, the big influence on the cards was the occult tarot, because de Gebelin and then Levi and then so forth and so on really affected how we see the tarot today. But for me, also, this book right here looks at the original, the history of the first tarot deck, the Noble deck, which at the time was one of the oldest decks. And so it gives you a history of the cards. And this is the one that I always reference when I'm looking at the history of where they came from, what the artwork means, all those wonderful things like that. So this is the true history of that he covers, he documents, he footnotes the history of the cards, who's in the cards, what they mean. Now, this is a fun book. This is Tarot and Divination Cards. So this is by Letitia Barbier. And this goes into the cards, and she talks about the history of the cards, and it's beautifully illustrated when you see the cards and the history of the cards. So if you want to see some beautiful illustrations of various decks, here's the Visconti, and the Charles VI deck. So this book is beautiful for looking at the history of the cards and an explanation of them. So, this was probably the first one that I had read, which was A Wicked Pack of Cards, and you're gonna have to find it on eBay. They go for about $70 now because it's out of print. And if you're interested in the how the growth of the occult tarot, where it moved up to the Golden Dawn, up until the Rider-Waite-Smith, and then beyond. This one right here, you have to order it online. And if you just look up Reading the Marseille Tarot by J.M. David, you'll be able to find it. And this you can find on Amazon and any wonderful store. So, that's right off the top of my head are three of my favorites. There's this book here also, but the reason why I like the other books, and this is the mystical origin, is that I'm not particularly a fan of the way it's footnoted. I like to know where it came from, where the information comes from, and there's logical leaps that can be made because, again, people originally, were taught the cards are Egyptian, the cards are from the Romani, from gypsies, things like that. And again, but those are, that information we found to be false. Other people like to say, well, they must have a Jewish, because there were Jewish people in the area. It's like, no, that's a logical leap. I want to know why you think that to be true. So that's a really good book. I mean, that's one that's out for sale right now, but I'm not a fan of this one. And I think that's a good start. So for me, where I would start is reading the Marseille Tarot. I would order this. This book right here, it's academic and maybe dry, but I enjoyed that. So thanks again, everybody. Take care. And I will talk to you later. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Stars in the sky, cards in my hand, searching for signs, lost in the sand. Whispers of fate, echoes of dreams in the dark.